I have not been paying very good attention to my cucumber plants. I wonder why. Maybe because of my ADHD, not paying attention to my cucumber plants led me to a lot of problems. But in this video, I'm going to go over all of those problems so you don't have to do the very same thing that I've been doing with my cucumber plants. Let's go. What's going on, my plant peoples? I am the ADHD gardener, where I use gardening, houseplants, and humor as a much-needed form of mental health therapy, sobriety, and also learning tips and tricks from our garden on how to navigate this crazy-ass world with ADHD. And this is my cucumber plant. From the outside, it looks really nice, right? And this is ideally what you want your cucumber plant to look like. But this is just in the best ideal situation. Let me show you the bad. I showed you what your cucumber plant is supposed to look like, right? Really nice and green, beautiful fan leaves and everything. But let me show you the bad. And the first thing that I have definitely noticed when it comes to growing cucumbers is bacterial wilt. And you're wondering, what the heck is that? It's a bacterial infection that has basically kind of like creeped into your cucumber plant, and it's going to start destroying and wilting a lot of those leaves. Just think about it like for our human bodies. How in the world can we contract someone else's infection? Through touch? Through them coughing on us, or through spread of bacterial infection. If I'm touching an infected plant, and then here I come touching this healthy plant, infection, we're cross-contaminating. Also, if we're using contaminated utensils, like if you're sharing spoons or forks with someone that's sick, the same thing here. If you have a pruning, if you have a scissors, if you have whatever tool that you're using in the garden, and you spread it, you use it from one infected plant and then transfer it and use that same tool on this plant, you're gonna just spread that disease onto this plant. Another reason is, which we'll touch on later on, is bugs. And bugs can definitely contract diseases from one plant into another, and this is the result of bacterial wilt. When it comes to spreading of infection for humans, what does that involve? If you're in a too close of a confined space and there's not enough airflow or air circulation, that's why when we're sick, we're always opening the windows so we can get proper air ventilation. Same thing with the plants. If you have too many leaves, or you have an area that has just way too many, like a dense population of a lot of leaves, of a lot of fruits or anything, it is not going to have proper air ventilation. What can we do about it? We're going to prune the heck out of it. We're going to try to minimize the advancing spreading of that infection and that disease, so we can try to, save our plant. All right, we got anthracnose, we got bacterial wilt. Another one is downy mildew. I mean, you can come up with a lot of different problems when it comes to cucumbers if you're not paying attention. If it ain't one thing, it's definitely another. This is why we have to pay attention. The issue you're gonna find is yellowing of those leaves, and they could be for a few different reasons. One of them is just basically a nutrient deficiency. Now, that different type of nutrient deficiency depends on the type of the yellowing of the leaves. Now, sometimes if it's just an overall yellowing of the leaf, it just needs an overall general fertilizer. But if you start getting a little more detailed into how it's getting yellow, that can give you a clue as to what type of nutrient deficiency it is. Now, it's not all of them are going to be the same. As you see here, it's starting to yellow real bad. But notice that you can see the green veins a lot more. I'm not going to get too detailed into that because I'm still kind of figuring that out myself. But for now, that's a bee right next to me. Yes, it is, bee. Oh my gosh. I know the soil is pretty darn good because I've been always consistently adding compost every year to this bed. So I'm assuming that it is just a general fertilizer, because cucumbers are very, very heavy feeders. But have you ever noticed that every plant is a stinking heavy feeder? Every plant, if you notice in other people's videos, oh, this is a heavy feeder, that's a heavy feeder. Yo, plants are just heavy feeders in general. Any type of plant that's starting to push out fruit is going to be heavily looking for fertilizer. And this one, of course, is looking for a little more. This plant right here has multiple issues, and it's not just one problem. There's a few things. The first one is anthracnose. Now, anthracnose is a fungal infection that can be found on a lot of plants, actually. It looks like brown spots. That is a fungal issue. Just like bacterial wilt, anthracnose will spread as well because it's a fungal issue. And again, infection spreads like crazy. It's going to start off as brown spots, and then it will eventually eat up the entire leaf, turning it brown, crispy, and then die. This plant not only has an anthracnose issue, also has a nutrient issue, But another one is the cucumber beetle. You're gonna see a lot of cucumber beetles in your garden because they're not limited to just cucumber plants. Anywhere where you see a yellow flower, you're gonna see those stinking cucumber beetles. They are kind of cute. They're striped yellow and black beetles, but they will decimate your plants. So you do not want to see them. You can get rid of them with a neem oil spray, or if you want to get a little more detailed in depth, you can go, use something stronger. I think I've heard mention, some people say BT. I have not used that myself. I just kind of primarily stick with neem oil mixes and whatnot. It seems to be working for me, but that is a major problem because they will suck all the nutrients out of out of your plants. Another bug issue that you're going to find are thrips. Now, I haven't really seen any thrips that I've noticed because you got to pay attention. Thrips are very, very, very small, looking like white flies or something like that. You're going to see them on your leaves also, and they will suck all the nutrients out of your leaves. So again, neem oil spray or some type of preventative spray that you can use on your cucumber plants will definitely be super helpful. This right here is an overripened cucumber. Now, which is not really a problem if you're collecting seeds, but if you are leaving these cucumbers on your plant for too long, it'll signal the death of the plant. This is just how the circle of life goes. The plant produces the fruit so it can spread more seeds, and then the plant dies. So if you're leaving this on the plant itself, it's just gonna, your plant is gonna eventually die. It's not producing anymore. So you want to pick them before they turn yellow. Before they turn yellow. You don't even want your cucumbers to really get to full maturity size because again, that signals the plant that it's gonna die. And you don't want that. You want to keep producing as much cucumbers as possible. That means keep picking them. And this applies to any other plant too. Pepper plants, tomato plants, you want to still keep harvesting them. The sooner you get to this, the sooner your plant is going to die. It's still not a waste though because you can collect the seeds from the cucumber, just like I'm going to be doing here. This is great for seed collection, but if you're not trying to seed collect and you're trying to eat it, then we have a problem. You know what? Whether you're in a container or you're in the ground, trellising is a lot of the answer for a lot of the cucumber problems. One is if you leave your cucumber to trellis itself on the ground, it is definitely susceptible to more bugs. You're in direct contact with the soil, and we all know the soil is a harboring just infestation of bugs. So if you leave a cucumber right on the ground, that's a wrap for your cucumber. Just know it's going to have holes in it. It's going to be chewed out by who knows what. You don't got enough space. You must go up. I know that all of my garden is taken over, and that means I don't have enough real estate to be growing on the ground. But I'm trying to avoid the bugs on the ground anyway, so what do? You go up. I'm using this awesome trellising system that's used for something else. I just recycled it for this purpose, but also you can use tomato cages, you can use netting. Your creativity is endless as to how to trellis your cucumbers. Another reason why you would want to trellis them again is because of air circulation. Notice in this trellis right here, it's got a lot of airflow. The leaves on this plant are not completely jumbled up together, and that's what you want. You want that airflow to prevent as much disease as possible. And also, why not? Right? Why not? And the biggest tip ever when it comes to cucumbers is keep growing the seedlings. Sometimes your plants are going to die. Then you're going to need backups. Backups to the backups. Another reason why you may want to have backups is because you planted the cucumber plant way too early. Cucumbers hate the cold. They do not like it. They are not feeling the cold weather. They're not even feeling the chilly weather at all. So they are summer-loving, heat-loving plants. So if you plant these cucumbers way too early in the season, they're going to die, which is why we're always looking for backups. Also, if your plants are dying because of wilt, because of the cucumber, because of a nutrient problem, you got backups. And remember, you can consistently keep planting a bunch of these in the summertime. You can never have enough cucumbers because you can always just pickle them, jar them, or do whatever you want with them. The key is growing a lot more of these stinking plants every time and every chance you get. We're already in August, and you would think that the season is kind of over. Not necessarily. August is still kind of a heat-loving, hopefully a heat-loving month that you can still pull off a little bit of the cucumber babies. Now, depending on where you live and what garden zone you're at, this can be plausible, especially if you live in Florida, Texas, or anywhere down south, you good. Up north, people, it's a hit or miss, because right now I'm in Pennsylvania and you would think that August would be super hot. It's really not. It's really not. What I do get a lot now is rain, which is still good for the watering issue, but not necessarily good when it comes to the heating issue. So you may want to take a little more extra care for your seedlings, but you know what? Just try it out. Experiment. What's the harm in it? What's it gonna do? You already know it may die. Okay, big stink. That's like the worst that could happen. So why not just see if it'll work? Another thing to think about is watering your plants. Cucumber is mostly water. You're gonna need a lot of water. These things are just heavy on water consumption. So if you have irregular watering, you do not water as much as you should be watering, your cucumbers are gonna look like crapola. Just letting you know, they may look disfigured. They may not look nice, plump and juicy cucumbers because of the water. But not only that, they may get bitter as heck. Super bitter. Now, I have not had a cucumber that's super bitter this year, maybe because I have been watering a little better than I have been last year. But also the bitterness can also come from a different variety of, certain cucumbers. I didn't get too detailed into that here because I have yet to find that problem. I don't necessarily have that cucumber bitterness problem because I am still getting myself together when it comes to the cucumber plants. So only this year have I really been getting more and more cucumbers. I have yet to get to that bitterness problem, but if you can Google it yourself, you can also find a lot of different type of cucumber varieties that are less bitter. The more water you give your cucumbers, the less bitter it's going to taste, the less stressed out, the less misshapen it's going to be, and also you're going to get a pretty decent sized cucumber. Also, if you don't water enough, this plant is fragile as heck, man. Have you ever seen these leaves just wilt out like crazy and just crisp up like crazy? Watering, and this plant does not react well to stress, and inconsistent watering is going to give you massive stress on this plant. I really hope you enjoyed this video and you got some good information out of it. Let me know down in the comments below, do you have any problems with cucumbers? I am really genuinely curious because we're always going to have some type of issues, whether it be nutrient deficiency or a pest problem or just Mother Nature just doing her thing. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to smash that like button. I really appreciate it. Also, you can catch me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm on there all the time. And as usual, until the next episode, you guys, where you and me both are going to be growing our happiness one plant at a time, one day at a time. I'll check y'all later in the next episode. God bless you all. Peace and love.